So
you're on.
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. What a remarkable experience. I still have the rubber glove from touching some of the things here, so the raw lung. Bonjour à toutes et à tous, Monsieur le Premier Ministre, Madame Carney, chers collègues, Talib Nur Mohammed, Maggie Chi, Karim Bardizi, Ahmed Hassan is here. I thought Julie might be here. All the doctors, thank you. All the health practitioners. C'est un grand plaisir d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui pour le lancement de l'IA pour tous, la nouvelle stratégie nationale du Canada en matière d'intelligence artificielle. And there can be no more fitting place to launch a national strategy called AI for All than right here at the great Toronto General Hospital at the University Health Network, one of the great innovation health centers in the world. And Dr. Smith, Kevin, thank you for you and your team for hosting us today. Some remarkable demonstrations that I would encourage everyone to see. We are also in the riding of our great colleague, Dr. Danielle Martin, who knows a lot about health and innovation here at UHN. For decades, UHN has been one of the places where Canadian science and Canadian medicine and innovation have come together to improve people's lives at their most vulnerable moments. And UHN now has an AI hub actively moving to safely and responsibly integrate AI innovation into their hospitals to serve patients and Canadians and support clinicians. That's exactly what our national strategy AI for All is all about. AI that serves Canadians, not the other way around. L'innovation au service des gens, l'innovation au service des patients, l'innovation au service du Canada. So I just want to quickly recognize members of Canada's AI Strategy Task Force who are here today. Many of you helped shape this strategy through your expertise, your advice, and your commitment to making sure Canada's approach to AI is ambitious, responsible, and grounded in the needs of serving Canadians. Merci pour votre contribution importante. Now, this is a transformative moment, as the Prime Minister says, and we all hear about AI everywhere, at the dinner table, at work, and there's an enormous opportunity to change lives for the better. But we know there's real concerns about trust and safety and privacy and control. And we have to be open to the opportunities for AI and candid about these concerns. And our strategy for AI for All, is a pragmatic, practical one that will make sure Canadians have the skills, the tools, and the means to ensure that AI serves our values just like they're doing here at UHN. People need to see what AI does for them, not what AI is, how it's supporting doctors and nurses, and improving services. The goal of the strategy is to do just that, as the Prime Minister will tell you about, to build information must be seized, and Canada's approach must be built on Canadian values, built on Canadian strength, and built to serve all Canadians. So, to give the details, it is an absolute honour and pleasure to welcome the Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much, Minister Solomon, chers collègues. It is a great pleasure to be here at Toronto General in the University Health Network. It is humbling and inspiring at the same time to be here and to be with such an esteemed group. Dr. Smith, I should acknowledge as well, Dean Connor, Chair of the Board, Dr. Smith, Kevin, and the entire University Health Network team, thank you for your service and the care that you provide to so many Canadians every day. Let's put this in context. Yeah. And for those of us who had the privilege of going around the exhibits, it's not just the service, but it's the innovation. Everything that I saw didn't exist 5 years ago, but is transformative today and going forward. And think about it, Toronto General, this broader network, 700,000 people are treated a year using a precious combination of empathy, compassion, and world-class expertise and cutting-edge technologies. All of those aspects are present. The world's first single and double lung transplant happened here. The first external heart pacemaker, the first use of insulin, all happened right here. That's what's possible when good people harness new technologies and deploy them with the right purpose. And that's what we must do today on a much broader scale, but at the same human level. Because artificial intelligence, the defining technology of our era, is here. In his recent encyclical, Pope Leo warned that the scale and speed at which AI is developing, and I quote, "Never has humanity had such power over itself," and he set the challenge of whether we would use that power for the common good. The question isn't whether AI will transform our lives, it will. AI is already changing how we work, how we learn, and how we connect. The question is, will it improve the lives of all Canadians or benefit only a few? And that's why we must take a positive, pragmatic, and prudent approach that builds safe, reliable, and sovereign AI for workers and businesses, for Canada, and for our allies. Les Canadiens ont contribué à inventer l'IA moderne. Les idées fondamentales qui constituent les systèmes d'aujourd'hui passent par les chercheurs canadiens Jeffrey Hinton, Joshua Bengio, and Richard Sutton. Cet héritage se poursuit grâce à des universités de calibre in the world, including experts with deep expertise in AI, robotics, and quantum. We're a pluralistic society that works. We're a stable, reliable partner in a world that is anything but. But first, we have to be honest about the risks that AI poses to Canadians and the challenges that Canada faces. Deep fakes, unsafe chatbots, AI-generated disinformation are becoming more prevalent. The privacy of Canadians is under threat. Globally, Canada ranks near the bottom of countries in AI training, in literacy, and trust. Only 12% of Canadian businesses are using AI today. Among small and medium-sized businesses, adoption is even lower. And we are highly dependent on foreign suppliers for the infrastructure that powers AI, from compute to cloud to data storage. That creates real risks that foreign entities could access Canadian data, deploy AI products that shape Canadian lives without reflecting our values, and tilt the playing field against Canadian firms, while Canada lacks the leverage to push back or the ability to control. It also creates the risk that, as with other forms of integration, from financial payments to supply chains, AI could be weaponized against us. Pour faire en sorte que l'IA profite à chaque Canadien, nous avons besoin d'une approche qui rejoint chaque Canadien. Nous avons besoin d'une stratégie qui aide nos travailleurs et nos entreprises à adopter l'IA, à soutenir la concurrence à l'échelle mondiale. Une stratégie qui garantit aux Canadiens de choix canadiens dans les outils d'IA qu'ils utilisent et une stratégie qui repose sur des bases de confiance et de sécurité. We need a strategy that not only addresses these challenges, but also builds on ways in which Canadian businesses are using AI. I'll give some examples. In Halifax, Dr. Robert Chen and his team at Cardio Diagnostique are using AI to screen heart murmurs in infants, leading to lower unnecessary referrals and shorter wait times. In Saskatoon, the Canadian company Croptomistic is using AI to transform soil mapping so there's less fertilizer that's used. In Peterborough, AI-powered traffic lights are reducing congestion, 40% fewer vehicle delays, 20% fewer emissions. Prosperity and sovereignty in the age of AI belong to those nations that can build, adopt, and govern AI on their own terms. Nations that encourage the deployment of AI to make the lives of their citizens better. And to that end, with Minister Solomon and colleagues, we're pleased to launch Canada's new AI for All strategy. That's AI governed by Canadian values, AI that is accountable to Canadians, AI that serves all Canadians. Our strategy has three guiding principles. The first is trust. We will protect your data, your privacy, and your children. Second, opportunity. We will empower Canadian workers, Canadian businesses, Canadian students with the tools to expand their knowledge, their expertise, and their futures. And finally, sovereignty. We will reinforce Canadian sovereignty so Canadians can make their own choices on how AI is built, governed, and used. Dans le monde virtuel, comme dans le monde physique, nous serons maîtres chez nous. La stratégie l'IA pour tous vise à générer 200 milliards de dollars supplémentaires de croissance économique. Cela pourrait se traduire par la création de 250 000 emplois liés à l'IA au cours des 5 prochaines années et faire passer le taux d'adoption de l'IA qui est aujourd'hui d'1 sur 10 à près de 2 tiers d'ici 2034. Au cours de cette stratégie, on trouve l'adoption. Pour que les Canadiens bénéficient de l'IA, chacun doit avoir la possibilité d'apprendre à l'utiliser. Et pour l'utiliser, l'IA, les Canadiens doivent pouvoir lui faire confiance. Avoir confiance que nos enfants seront protégés, que nos concitoyens seront respectés, que notre culture et nos langues seront non seulement préservées, mais renforcées, et que notre démocratie sera préservée elle-même. Canadians need to be able to develop the trust that AI will be governed in ways that reflect our values, to trust that they will share in its benefits. And for AI to benefit Canadians, it needs to create new opportunities for us and to be anchored in infrastructure that Canadians can control. Under our strategy, the government will introduce new legislation, regulations and standards to protect your data, your privacy, your children. We will modernize Canada's privacy laws and online safety legislation, ensuring that they are fit for an AI-driven world. We will expand Canada's AI Safety Institute with advanced research to evaluate AI models and to track emerging risks. We'll table consumer privacy legislation that ensures AI systems safeguard children's information from exploitation and harm, and we will make the development of cloud safety standards, child safety standards, a priority at next month's G7 summit in Evian. This month's G7 summit in Evian. We will also enshrine Canadians' fundamental right to privacy, including by creating protections against harmful practices such as deepfakes and surveillance pricing, so that technology doesn't outpace our ability to safeguard against technology ourselves. Second thing we will do, most exciting, and we see examples in this great research network, we will empower all Canadians with new opportunities to participate in and benefit from AI. So we're launching a national AI literacy initiative, offering training to all Canadians across the country in classrooms, workplaces, libraries, community centres. With free and trustworthy AI learning kits, including courses and modules, Canadians will better understand AI, be able to use it safely and confidently, and put it to work in their own lives. The approach will also help identify biases and misinformation and give Canadians the AI tools to learn and to help with their careers. As we adopt AI more broadly, there will be significant demands for Canadian workers who have the knowledge and the know-how to use this technology effectively. So a farmer who needs a manager with AI expertise to oversee exactly how much to plant, to water, to fertilize. The factory owner who needs an AI specialist to streamline machine data so the floor runs smoother and faster. To ensure that Canada is ready to meet that demand and to train up the next generation, we'll create over 90,000 AI-related job opportunities for young Canadians, including through the Student Work Placement Program, Canada's Summer Jobs, MyTax, and Skills for Success programs. We'll invest in training and upskilling for workers at every stage of their careers, from students to mid-career professionals to frontline workers. And we will ensure that every post-secondary student has access to trusted AI agents, whether they're in art schools or computer science labs, whether they're training to be electricians or carpenters, in order that our next generation has world-class, reliable tools on which to build and learn. We're going to use the Business Development Bank's LIFT program to help Canadian SMEs access financing to adopt AI tools in their operations. We're providing $500 million through the Regional AI Initiative to expand AI adoption, commercialization, and readiness across the country. And we'll expand affordable sovereign compute for Canadian small and medium-sized enterprises with an additional $700 million in the Compute Access Fund. So Canadian AI adoption will be prudent, pragmatic, and pro-worker. Il est essentiel que l'IA reflète l'identité, les valeurs et la culture canadienne. Et cela signifie renforcer la présence du français dans les systèmes de l'IA et en veillant à ce que les outils reflètent dans les deux langues officielles. Cela signifie de soutenir les initiatives sur l'IA dirigées par des autochtones, de protéger les langues et les connaissances autochtones et de permettre aux autochtones de déterminer la manière dont l'IA sera développée et utilisée. And the third part of our strategy is to ensure that Canada controls its AI sovereignty. Just in our defence industrial strategy, we will follow a build, partner, buy framework. So first, we will build in Canada and direct procurements for sovereign capabilities towards Canadian firms first. Where we can't build, we'll partner with like-minded allies to attract investment and to integrate supply chains. And only after exhausting these options will we buy from abroad. So starting with focusing on building in Canada, let's observe that Canada is one of only 4 countries in the world with a large language model. That means, amongst other things, that the data that Canadians share through their businesses and public services can be processed and governed within Canada under Canadian laws and standards. It safeguards our digital sovereignty and our national security. And with this foundation, Canada will build a world-leading public AI supercomputer, giving researchers and businesses access to secure, high-performance compute power for their greatest innovations. We'll also create a Canadian Tech Growth Fund, a $500 million vehicle to take equity stakes in high-potential AI firms, helping Canadian companies to succeed globally while remaining proudly Canadian. We will expand sovereign compute and cloud infrastructure, reducing our reliance on foreign providers. Now, today, let's be clear, most of our data that's used in AI goes across our border or is governed by privacy regimes of other countries. And that's why, one of the reasons why we will back Canadian AI talent with nearly $350 million to expand our AI institutes in Montreal, here in Toronto, and Edmonton, to increase AI research, and to recruit the best talent from engineering and mathematics to health and agriculture. Now, as in the physical world, it's not just what we build, it's how we build. We'll build sustainably, linking new data center development with expanding clean energy and robust environmental standards. We'll build inclusively, in full partnership with Indigenous peoples. As I said, we'll support Indigenous-led AI research, leveraging programs from Canadian Heritage, the National Research Council, and industry partners like Mila. And we will build in solidarity with Canadian workers, unions, and post-secondary institutions. Where we can't build alone here in Canada, we'll partner with like-minded allies. In 1 year, Canada has secured 20 economic and security partnerships, 12 of which are in AI. One of those landmark initiatives is the Sovereign Technology Alliance, which will deepen our collaboration with trusted allies, starting with Germany, in order to share AI research, talent, investment, and infrastructure. We'll use our complementary strengths to build a dense web of partnerships from Europe, Asia, Australia, and the Middle East. Ce n'est qu'après avoir épuisé ces options que nous envisageons d'acheter à l'étranger. Et même dans ce cas, nous verrons à ce que les retombées maximales reviennent au Canada tout au long de la chaîne de valeur, notamment en tirant parti de la politique achetée canadienne pour soutenir l'essor des entreprises ici. The most crucial objective of our strategy is to ensure that AI works for Canadians. And that's why we're launching an AI missions program, which will take Canadian AI out of the lab and put it to work on real problems such as those we've just seen solved here at UHN. We will bring together companies, health systems, governments, community partners to move ambitious ideas into practical use faster. And our first mission, which is why we're here, is to deploy $200 million to improve healthcare, with projects driven by the healthcare sector, but they could include reducing ER wait times, expanding access to primary care, reducing administrative burdens on physicians, caregivers, improving surgical methods. Nearly 3/4 of EU countries are already using AI-assisted diagnostics to support medical imaging and to detect disease. Et nous mettons au profit une technologie transformatrice pour améliorer la vie des Canadiens. Nous élargissons Vital, une plateforme canadienne de données de santé qui utilise l'IA pour relier des centaines de milliers de points de données hospitaliers, de l'imagerie aux dossiers médicaux et aux signes vitaux aux patients, afin de favoriser des percées dans la manière dont nous prédisons, prévenons et traitons les maladies. Et bientôt, nous nous tournerons vers des projets similaires dans les domaines de l'énergie, de l'agriculture et du transport. So let me close by recognizing, as Minister Solomon did, that too often AI is talked about, including by those who are developing it and building the infrastructure to support it, as if AI were the end in itself. Too seldom is it connected to people and for people. Our strategy, inspired by UHN, our strategy AI for All, is designed to put Canadians back in control, to build trust, to seize opportunities, and above all, to harness AI to improve lives and indeed to save them. Operating rooms just down the hall, surgeons are using AI-assisted imaging to identify arterial structures during complex procedures, gallbladders, arterial structures, lungs, beyond. You know, in one of the world's most demanding jobs, with the most highly trained, skilled specialists, AI is making them even better, even more precise, even more confident, all because of a tool that did not exist 5 years ago. With our new strategy, that's how we will help shape how we use AI, to ensure that in Canada, AI works for all Canadians all of the time. To build a Canada that's not just strong, not just intelligent, but good. And with that, I look forward to your questions. Thank you very much. That one didn't work. That one, the whole time. I'm going to spend the rest of the time on this.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister and Mr. Solomon. We'll start with questions. On va commencer avec des questions.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Barbara with Thai Politics. My question is about Billy Bishop's airport. So apparently there is a lack of support, or at least public support, from Liberal MPs on the expansion of the Toronto Island Airport. They are not coming out and endorsing the idea, just making cautious statements about it. But Premier Ford says that you support it. So do you support this expansion? Why do you think Liberal MPs are not fully endorsing it? And is this something you would move forward with, even if the Liberal caucus is not completely on board?
Well, I think the first thing is the initiatives come from the province, as you know. And what's important is that there's adequate consultation with affected residents, the broader city of Toronto. And we will put in place, and we'll make announcements shortly, a consultation process in order for that to take place over the course of the summer. There's many, many issues. There's issues of transportation. There's issues of economics, but there's issues of neighborhoods, quality of life, environmental concerns or issues, parks and other elements. And so we'll use a process. The federal government is very much an actor here, process to understand all of that and get the feedback. And one of the many strengths of my colleagues, and they have many, is that they are very tied into their communities and have those perspectives. So because we have those perspectives, we'll go through that process. I personally have not formed an opinion, just to be absolutely clear, on the airport, in part because those full processes have not been done. Thank you.
Prochaine question. Next question.
Hi, Prime Minister.
Hi.
Hannah Alberga with the Canadian Press. The AI strategy says Canada is uniquely positioned to lead an alliance of aligned democracies who pool research, talent, compute, and procurement power. Do you think such an alliance could offer a credible alternative to U.S. big tech? And is that the goal that you're trying to set out here?
Well, I think the short answer is in a series of areas that critical mass absolutely can be developed. I referenced one, which is we have LLM, large language model capabilities here that very few other countries, only 3 other countries have. That's part of a broader AI ecosystem that we can build alliances around. We've already started to do that with Germany as an example. There is, I can tell you from our 12 AI related partnerships that we've signed over the last year, there is very strong interest in like-minded countries of sharing infrastructure, various aspects of infrastructure as part of that ecosystem as well. There is a very strong interest in coordinating, and this will be part of what is discussed at the G7 in Evian in 2 weeks' time, coordinating and improving child safety approaches, and one would expect that our partnerships would be deeper with those countries that share our priorities on that and get it right. So, yes, is the short answer. I don't view this necessarily, maybe the last point I'll make, as a winner-take-all or a challenge strategy. There are just such a host of applications for AI that is going to be tailored to the values, or should be tailored to the values of countries. There are many countries that share enough of those values with Canada that they're natural partners. Thank you.
Question, next question.
Hello, this is Shubi with Y Media. You recently at an event said that when you come to this country, do not bring your animosities. What does your government plan to do against those who bring their animosities to this country and spread hatred? Yeah.
Well, there's a variety of answers to that question. It starts with whether the expression of those are criminal. What this government is doing is taking a very tough and appropriate line on criminal expressions of hate, particularly. As you may know, Bill C-9 is working its way through Parliament. It will soon be law. We have fought hard for that. It's absolutely right to police hate, to stop intimidation of individuals, whether they're going to their synagogue, mosque, church, community center, where they've been subject to harassment, intimidation, online hate, etc. So, first, policing, where we play a role and we've reinforced. Secondly, the right laws, 6 pieces of legislation, the most important, C9, on hate. Then there is a broader set of issues, which, and part of the reason I said that in the broader context of that speech, is it's all of our responsibility as Canadians. What is our role as Canadians? What's the civic compact in Canada? And that civic compact is that we're all equal. Unity does not mean uniformity. We respect each other's differences, and we celebrate them. Now, I'm going to make an adjacent point because I think it's important. Let me make those are fundamental things, and we need to get better as all of us as a country in doing that. Okay. Let me make an adjacent point because of where we are. Dr. Smith pointed out to me that the transplant record here at UHN is first in the world. First in the world, bar none. And part of the reason it's first in the world is it's the same care for everyone who comes through that door, right? That's an expression of Canadian unity, Canadian equality, that also is part of a broader sense of citizenship that means, yes, leaving animosities at the door and building together. Has tangible results as well, and I salute this group for it. Thank you.
Next question.
Bonjour, Monsieur Carney.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, Monsieur Carney,
Bonjour,
Marion
madame.
Bérubé de Radio-Canada. Une question en français. D'un côté, votre gouvernement multiplie les reculs face aux géants du Web et d'un autre, vous voulez un secteur de l'intelligence artificielle plus souverain, donc moins dépendant des États-Unis. Comment vous allez expliquer ça à l'administration Trump sans en subir les conséquences?
Premièrement, je ne partage pas votre prémisse, c'est pas une surprise. Nous venons de prendre une décision sur les streamers, en effet, mais c'était une question d'abordabilité. L'abordabilité pour les Canadiennes et les Canadiens. Il y a des grands défis, tout le monde le sait, sauf évidemment le CRTC, qu'il y a des défis de pouvoir d'achat. Ce sera demain que le bénéfice d'essentiel et l'épicerie va arriver pour 12 millions de Canadiens et Canadiennes. C'est à cause des difficultés réelles qui existent. Et ce n'est pas le moment d'enlever les prix de content audiovisuel. Mais en même temps, c'est le moment de renforcer nos investissements dans le secteur culturel, dans la langue française, dans la culture québécoise. Et nous le faisons. Nous le faisons avec 600 millions de dollars de plus. En ce qui concerne ce secteur et les règles qui gouvernent, qui va gouverner la protection des enfants, par exemple, l'utilisation de l'IA, on va dévoiler dans les prochaines semaines des projets de loi, des grands projets de loi qui vont affecter tout cela. OK, merci.
Prochaine question, next question.
John Benjamin, CBC. Canada is committing to sovereign cloud computing and also planning to have AI companies watermark AI-generated content.
Yeah.
Will these plans further inflame, irritate U.S. trade relations?
No. Well, this is fundamental. Let's take sovereign cloud, sovereign compute. This is a strategy that any sentient country is taking. Let's put it that way, right? This is fundamentally strategic, and it makes sense to do that. Now, the question of where is the government of Canada going to hold your data and our national security data is going to hold it in Canada. So that's the most extreme version of sovereign cloud, and with the most trusted providers. But also, where do Canadian companies and where are Canadians most comfortable having their data and them having those options? So we view this as fundamental and straightforward. Does that mean there aren't important roles in the Canadian AI ecosystem for U.S.-based AI companies? No. Of course, there are important roles today, and we benefit. Canadians benefit from them. But we will make the laws here, and we will also grow our capacity here, our physical compute capacity, if I can put it that way, so that we can protect Canadians. Yes.
Merci.
Good morning, Prime Minister.
Morning,
Justin Ling, the Toronto Star. You mentioned Pope Leo's encyclical in your remarks. In that encyclical, the Pope recommends prudence. He recommends a slower pace of adoption. And in effect, he's recommending that maybe governments don't need to build trust in AI, that maybe it doesn't deserve that trust. How did that encyclical inform your own approach to developing the strategy, including your conversation with him? And if I can attack a little gotcha question on the end, do you believe AI will ever be capable of sentience?
That's quite a okay. So first thing, our strategy was substantially developed the core principles of our strategy. In fact, the animating principle of AI being for all, doing what we can, AI for all Canadians. The purpose of AI working for Canadians, not Canadians working for AI. Those have been there from the first conversations and the first development. So what I found with the encyclical, not that there weren't it wasn't richer and a better expression of many of those principles, but there was a congruence, there was a complementarity, and the same in the conversation. So again, I mean, to use the language of it, is the Tower of Babel, in other words, about the technology, or Jerusalem about the human, about the people. Okay, we're anchored in that, and if you start with that as your animating principle, which we did, for all. Both words being important, for and all, that leads to a series of decisions and priorities, and that's the product. The strategy is not the last word, of course, but is the product of that thinking. So I hope that answers the pre-gotcha part of your question. Do I think we're going to get to singularity is effectively? Those who know a lot more than me do think that is the case. I don't know enough to fully answer that. Certainly, what I do feel is very strongly, our government feels, is that we want to, and we will, ensure that our data privacy and children are protected, number one. Number two, that children are protected, number one. Number two, that we will ensure our sovereignty is reinforced, and we will do everything we can to make sure that AI is working for people as opposed to replacing or working at cross purposes. Thank you. En français, quel aspect? Le dernier, oui, c'est la possibilité de la singularité. C'est, oui, selon des experts, par exemple, M. Hassabis, le lauréat de Nobel, il pense que oui, ça va arriver peut-être dans une décennie. Je ne sais pas. Je ne suis pas expert dans l'IA, mais ce qui est fondamental, on doit prendre des mesures et le gouvernement prendre des mesures afin de protéger nos enfants, nos données et notre privacy, en effet, et puis de renforcer notre souveraineté dans le domaine de l'IA. Sure.
Murad Hamadi, The Logic. Prime Minister, you talked about leverage in your speech. Even with your procurement and support for Canadian-owned AI infrastructure, the strategy acknowledges that much of Canada's compute will come from U.S. hyperscalers into the foreseeable future. And Canada itself isn't a huge compute market, at least compared to the U.S. So what leverage does Canada have if the U.S. decides to violate our digital sovereignty?
What do you mean by the last part of your question?
If the whole point of this is that if our data and our AI is not within Canadian control, then that's a problem.
Well, let me put it this way. There's multiple points of leverage, and look, we don't view this as an adversarial. This is not an adversarial conversation. And let me give you an example of that, a tangible example that's going on right now with the development, as you'd be aware, of Mythos, latest stage Anthropic. The equivalent for OpenAI is 5.5, which creates real risk for many entities, financial institutions, others, in terms of cyber and ability effectively to hack systems. The U.S. has rolled, both of those are available to the Canadian government in real time, and they are available are becoming available to core institutions so we can protect ourselves. So I give that example to underscore, I don't think we should paint a picture of that this, as I said, that this is in any way adversarial. We're very much working together as a very complementary, reinforcing. That said, there are certain elements where, for national security, for Canadians' preferences, and for sovereignty, and I'm going to use sovereignty with respect to specific companies and others, prior to aspect, where the desire will be to have compute infrastructure, model train in Canada. And we will create that ability. Now, what leverage do we have, what ability do we have? This is where it goes everywhere from the energy infrastructure to the expertise to a real expertise that's resident in some of our big companies. Cohere would be an example, where the ability to train, where they are more asset light in their ability to develop their models and their training, and they are more enterprise focused and sovereign focused. That's, call it leverage, or that's an advantage that we have. It's one of the reasons we have some of the partnerships more broadly. So we'll use those aspects to our advantage. And maybe I'll just underscore one other thing, which, of course, I've got a slight recency bias here, but having touched a lung and know that the main purpose of the lung, just beyond that curtain, is to generate synthetic data, or rather real data for a synthetic lung that then is used to train for better applications. It shows you, again, it reminds that in a number of these applications, I'll see a bunch over there at Vector, where you don't, away from the LLM world, of which there are only a handful, large language model world, yes, you need data, but you don't need all the data in the world. You don't need all of that scale. And many of the applications that are created there, first and foremost, they directly improve the lives of Canadians, having transplants here, but they're an advantage for Canada internationally. We could call it leverage. I don't want to apply that term more broadly than I did in the speech. Thank you.
Next question.
Answer.
Hello, Nathaniel Dove, Global News. Prime Minister, your government recently announced extensions on steel quotas for non-CUSMA countries, as well as a review of the CRTC decision to force streamers to pay more to the CanCon fund. Both these issues have been irritants to the Americans. Were these concessions to the U.S. to get trade talks going? Where do those stand?
Well, first on streamers, I'll reinforce the point I made in French, which is that this is a question first and foremost on affordability. This is not the time to raise costs for Canadians. We're literally tomorrow providing support on groceries and essentials for 12 million Canadians, up to $533 for a family of four, and having streaming costs go up in the face of that. It is the time to reinforce Canadian cultural industries, and so the $600 million additional dollars, which I would add is on top of the $750 million for various cultural industries we put in place in the last budget, does that. It more than makes whole the sector on this. So we're balancing. It's the time to get a balance in around that. You know, CRTC, obviously we disagree with we take issue with the impact of the decision. I will just remind that last summer we were very supportive of the decision of the CRTC for broadband reselling across Canada, because not least because that improved competition and lowered costs for Canadians, something that's actually being seen. So there's a consistent approach around affordability, and I'm going to build this up and then answer your final bit of your question. We are transforming this economy. We're in the process of transforming this economy, major projects, affordable housing, series of measures, AI for all. That transformation takes some time. It's the right thing to do. It takes some time. During that period of time, we're laser focused on affordability for Canadians, providing a boost and a bridge. And so when we see things that are moving in the other direction, we can't solve them all. We can't solve global energy prices, but we can provide support, and where we can provide support, we will provide support. And with very quickly, on U.S. negotiations, the minister was down this week, our chief negotiator down this week, made some progress, but lots more to do.
The steel quotas?
Steel quotas, consistent with we have to land on the overall agreement. When we land on the overall agreement, revisions to CUSMA, we will take stock on steel quotas and other measures that we have taken, but within the context of that agreement, which is why they were extended. Yeah, thank you.
Last question, dernière question.
Irep Çakır with Turkish Voice of Canada.
Yes.
Thank you, Prime Minister. What are the real implications of a successful AI strategy for new and prospective immigrants, economic immigrants to Canada in terms of human talent and stripping away from policy metrics and economic forecasts? How do you personally and sincerely feel about AI?
Okay. I will give, on the first one, I'm going to give, and we have the examples here. I'm going to focus in on a very specific aspect of our immigration to Canada, which is top flight researchers. We have, Dr. Smith will correct me, but I believe over the course of even the last 18 months, about 100 of the world's best researchers coming here to UHN alone. And in every single case, there is an AI specialty that is part either of the research team or the individual themselves has an AI specialty. And so, and the impact of that, so it's fundamental to that component. As you may recall, we've committed $1.7 billion for top flight talent to come to Canadian research institutes. We committed that in the last budgets, and that is moving forward fast. I will see University of Toronto President Melanie Wooden shortly. I suspect she's going to update me on how quickly they've used up their quota, and we will be thinking about what more we can do in order to develop there. So sincerely, what do I think about AI? Look, I use AI as many do. It's very powerful in many respects. I use a very small fraction, obviously, of its capability. I have felt for well over a decade that the biggest issue, there are issues of trust. I won't repeat them, so just refer back to my earlier remarks. They're fundamental. But then the core issue is engagement and adoption, getting mass adoption, giving everybody a chance to use AI And just to be clear, this is not a tool in its broadest sense. It's often boiled down to the economic, but it is much broader in terms, it's a complement to human skills and human ingenuity, and that can be applied to saving lives. It can be applied to improving lives, improving art, expanding knowledge. And I'll finish with this, which I'll just observe that if you recall the famous demonstration of AI, one of the breakthrough was the use in the game of Go. 10 years ago. It was probably 10 years ago now, maybe even a bit more. And what happened in that case, and there are more positions on a Go board than atoms in a universe, which tells you something. And the AI, DeepMind application won against the champion, but it won with a strategy that was totally different than the champions and the leaders had been using. And instead of destroying the fun of Go, they opened up a whole new area on the board effectively to play, if I could make that analogy. So it went from a local maximum to opened up a new global maximum. So when I see that, examples like that, it shows the ability to do things that we didn't think was possible, combined with the human element. And what we need to do is to continue to make that possible for all Canadians. I'm just going to underscore one thing. All Canadians access to literacy training, every post-secondary student, apprenticeship, art school, Waterloo, UQAM, access to an AI agent to help build that application. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.